SEIA is solar's leading lobbying group and has been a protagonist in the ongoing fight over solar tariffs and an exemption to them.
We were really disappointed by Congress's inaction at the end of 2019. We thought they left a really important piece of the puzzle in solving the climate crisis on the table. I think we built a strong momentum. We built a lot of support amongst both Democrats and Republicans, but there were just a few too many politics at play to get us over the finish line in December.
Without those subsidies, what is the future for solar in 2020?
Yeah, it's a really great question. Our companies are incredibly entrepreneurial, incredibly thoughtful, and they know how to grow their business. And so the outlook for solar in 2020 is amazing. It's going to continue to grow even without the extension of the investment tax credit. The investment tax credit extension was always about solving climate, not because our companies were going to fall apart without it. Our companies are strong, and our industry is expected to grow in 2020.
What are your companies telling you about now what they think that they're going to have to do different to make up for the subsidies and the lack of those tax credits?
Right.
When they look at their bottom lines, how will this really impact them?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. The investment tax credit stepped down in 2020, so it was 30%. This year it's 26%. They've known that was coming for many years, and so they've been able to plan around that. What our industry will continue to do is to figure out ways to be more efficient, right? To bring down costs of installation, bring down costs of contracting, bring down costs of permitting, and that's how we're going to continue to stay competitive, even with those declining investment tax credits.
What impact did those trade and tariffs really over the last 18 months, 2 years, I'm thinking, how did that impact your industry?
It's really been a challenge to our industry, and it's really a story of lost opportunity. So as we think about what could have been had there not been tariffs, we will have lost about 66,000 jobs, which is a pretty important, pretty impactful, about 10.5 gigawatts of solar deployment, which is really significant when we think about having to, solve this climate crisis. And so the impact the tariffs have had is that we have not grown nearly as quickly as we could have. We have not installed nearly as much solar as we could have, and we have not created as many jobs as we otherwise would have. That's really how it's impacted us.
Has the signing of Phase 1 changed anything on your end?
The signing of Phase 1 did allow for some changes around how polysilicon, which is a critical piece in the manufacturing of solar, is treated with China, but fundamentally, in terms of solar modules, the tariffs that have gotten so much attention, it did not change that.
Where do you stand in some of the international efforts as well? It's not really just in the U.S. to increase some of the solar use, but this is a global story, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Where is the U.S. relative to some of the international push for solar?
Sure. No, it's a great question. The U.S. is a important market on the international stage. We're one of the top markets. And as we look at our growth over the next few years, both what we project and then our goal of being 20% of the U.S.'s electricity generation in the next decade, we are one of the top 1, 2, or 3 markets internationally. But again, certainty of policy and certainty of tax treatment and certainty of trade are critical to allowing that growth to continue to develop.